Let's talk about the power armor-clad religious daughters of the Emperor. The Adeptus Sororitas, also known as the Sisters of Battle, are an all-female military division of the Imperium of Man's church, known as the Ecclesiarchy. They specialize in cleansing heresy and spiritual corruption for the greater need of humanity. For this reason, they have constantly butted heads with the Inquisition because they have overlapping duties, but there's a lot of history that happens because of that and how that's shaped out. So let's check it out, huh? And before we even get into it, here's a little secret. If you want me to cover something in the lore, go ahead and tell me in the comments. I love talking about the 40k lore and would love to discuss some viewer requests. During the Age of Apostasy, which took place during the 36th millennium, the Church of the Cult of the Imperium of Man grew in power by doing things like witch hunts, making people pay taxes, and started to bully some other government organizations, and took control over them. For that, the role of being part of the Ecclesiarchy became one of authority, almost as if they were the Emperor themselves, with their belief in the Emperor governing their decisions. Or so they say. Everybody noticed that the Ecclesiarchy, or the Administratum, was really up to something suspicious. Other institutions closely tied to the Imperium started to distrust the Ecclesiarchy's powers, with the Space Marines and the Adeptus Mechanicus moving further away from their already tense relationship, becoming more separated from the Imperium's government. This all happened while a warp storm full of psychic energy cut off multiple planets, interstellar travel, as well as communication, with it covering most of the planets humanity inhabited at that time. With the universe practically blocking humanity on Discord and giving them a DUI, Chaos invasions were frequent, with whole planets being enslaved. Chaos legions sprang forth from the Eye of Terror, and orcs got their silly little hands in on the situation by battering other planets that weren't touched. The Imperium itself was teetering on the brink of collapse, with doom and anarchy engulfing all of it. Parts of the Imperial Cult say that the Emperor was squad-wiping everyone as an act of final judgment. People all over the galaxy were doing acts of penance. Anybody not torturing themselves to try to appease the Emperor was called a heretic and destroyed on sight. Now I know you might not be feeling particularly guilty, but a great act of penance to make sure the Emperor keeps you safe would be to subscribe to this channel. I'd just consider it a good insurance plan. It's also so you can peep out some of the other videos I release. Make sure to hit that bell too, so you can help me break out of my Kenshi addiction. That was until somebody as insane as the times they were found in stepped up to the plate. The one and only infamous Goge Vandire, who ascended to the position of the master of the Ecclesiarchy by using the cheat code of bribing, threatening, and assassinating anybody that might oppose him. It was an atrocious day to be an op. In a military coup d'etat that included puppet ecclesiarchs and the Imperial Guard, he became the unofficial ruler of the Imperium at that point. He said that the Emperor would guide him when it was really his own individual insane mind. During Vandire's rule, he was told of a sect of a sisterhood of warrior women living on an agricultural world that had unmatched dedication to the Emperor and an affinity for combat arms. Vandire decided to visit these daughters of the Emperor, and they did not like him at the start, until Vandire used a personal shield and a bodyguard's gun to showcase how cool he was, tricking them into thinking he had the Emperor's grace upon him. They then took the name the Brides of the Emperor, and Vandire started a bloody reign across all of humanity, until a preacher named Sebastian Thor called Vandire out on his corrupt antics. And it started getting so bad that Space Marines were trying to fight Vandire to only be met with specially trained warrior women in power armor, with bolters and other weaponry that usually only Space Marines used, with them fighting as good as the Astartes, but with an even more zealous rage, believing to be protecting the Emperor himself. The Brides of the Emperor fought the Astartes to a standstill, until the Emperor's bodyguards, the Custodians, came out of the Imperial Palace and informed Elisa Dominica, one of the heads of the Brides of the Emperor, that Vandire was no good, lying and corrupt. Elisa even got a one-on-one with the Emperor himself, before she stormed over to Vandire and separated his head from his body, with a power sword. Then the Brides of the Emperor went through a large bit of reconstructing, with the Ecclesiarchy and Sebastian Thor, with him becoming the head of it. To make sure that the Ecclesiarchy would never have the opportunity to amass such a large military might again, it was said that no man can serve as part of the Ministorum, with them not allowed to have any men under arms. The Brides of the Emperor really channeled their inner Saul Goodman at this point, with them using a legal loophole saying that they weren't men, they were women. So much to the chagrin of Sebastian Thor, the Ecclesiarchy scooped them up fast, making them the Orders Militant of the Adeptus Sororitas, or the Sisters of Battle. The entirety of these power armor-clad queens are all united under one ruling body, unlike the Space Marines. with one leader and 2 code leaders, with one leading each covenant of the sisters. These further denominate into orders, which all worship the Emperor in their own way. Sisters can also swap between orders if their skills and experience is more needed or better utilized in that order, with them even being able to be used in non-militarized orders, giving them a comfy retirement home, should they ever be a less effective combatant due to age or injury. Or they could be even transferred to the other organizations, like their Inquisition or Cardinals, the religious occupation, not the bird. And on some occasions they even become rogue traders. Reptus Sororitas power armor is used by the Sisters of Battle, being lighter and less bulky, alternative to other power armors like the Adeptus Astartes ones. It was first commissioned by Goge Vandire, with it being created in the Forges of Mars with the help of the Adeptus Mechanicus to increase strength without loss of speed or mobility. Although it did not have the fully implanted black carapace that helps people fully interface with the armor, it traded off some of the strength-enhancing abilities used by Space Marines. They're insanely more easy to use, though, because of this. You don't have to become a neophyte and do everything that a Space Marine does. You can just kind of hop in one of these with some training. Don't worry, these battle nuns still got pythons, though, with them being able to pick up heavy stuff and put heavy stuff down pretty easily. The helmet of the armor even contains a rebreather, allowing the Sisters of Battle to fight in the vast emptiness of space, and allowing them to use many of the weapons that only Space Marines can, with them being faster and more religiously zealous, but a little less tanky. The Sisters of Battle also have some very interesting church-themed tanks, as well as some other goodies, one of which being the Rhino Personnel Carrier, which is the most common transport vehicle, being able to transport a whole fun group of battle nuns at your leisure, or you could go with the Exorcist, that has a highly unpredictable, rocket-spewing, explosive, armor-piercing turret on top, which happens to be my favorite tank, due to the turret in the current model looking like a pipe organ. They also have baby carriers. I know they aren't actually called that, but just look at how stupid they look. These things are called Penetant Engines that are bipedal walkers that help baby rage through battle lines with arm-mounted flamers and razor-edge buzzsaws. The Sisters of Battle who are put there are imprisoned for their crimes, with them being wired in and chemical cocktails injected into them with augments to make them feel more pain and guilt, making their fighting more and more ferocious, with them having no actual armor to keep the pilot safe. This is seen as the only way to seek redemption from sin if execution isn't enough. So be good people and don't get put into the baby carrier. Sometimes there are some lore retcons that occur for the Sisters of Battle lore. This includes things like some giant landmarks switching places. And it was also said that no Sister of Battle had fallen to chaos, where in present-day lore, one has fallen to the temptations of Slaanesh, as well as some others being tempted by another servant of Slaanesh. So I guess some writers wanted to show how cool and edgy they were by flipping the script and making some people that were incorruptible corruptible, even though it says that would never happen in the lore. One of the most well-known Sisters Battle is a living saint that has been used as an instrument of the Emperor's will, while also being respawned many a time, being able to fight very often. Saint Celestine is pretty great with psychic power and has a large amount of faith. They are considered in the lore community to be a demon of the Emperor, with them being able to charge into the tide of battle for the Imperium like the Chaos Gods would employ greater demons in fights. She has a giant pair of wings and glows brilliantly, with cherubs and doves following her in her shining golden power armor. To those pure of heart, Celestine fills the heart with adoration as help during the Terran Crusade, while also resurrecting the Ultramarines Primarch Rabute Gilliman. She looks really cool though. She reminds me of European goddesses and Lady Liberty. The Sisters of Battle in 10th edition and the Arcs of Omen are kind of meh. They lost a lot of versatility with them losing Armor of Contempt, but they have been balanced in very rocky ways in all their history. They have units like Repentia and Retributors that destroy in short range, with them using melta-guns and melee. They can help do damage by using miracles through dice rolls, and they can also have good objectives, and some great named characters as well as HQs. They are a bit more fragile in short range compared to armies like most Space Marines, but overall they have more damage potential and a bit more units they can put down. Saint Celestine on tabletop is a fast-moving unit that doesn't have the best stats but has a Lord of the Rings-sized amount of passives, with them being able to plunge down from the sky, and having a funky bunch that goes on the field with her, that do fight a bit better than her. The best thing that Celestine can do in combat is resurrect, though, with her being able to resurrect herself, and her troops she fields with her being able to be a constant nuisance on the battlefield for anybody she might be fighting. So what do you guys think about the Adeptus Sororita or the Sisters of Battle? Did I leave something out or want to tell me something? Have a request for a video or a topic I could do?
Make sure to tell me in the comments down below.
Sisters of Battle are pretty friggin' rad. They have an interesting story and a cool faithful military might.
Till next video, fellas.